Make America smoggy again. This is Governor Newsom's response.
Centric Auto Repair here in San Marcos, where I talk about everything and nothing both at the same time. Hey guys, like and subscribe. My name is Victor. Shoot me a comment.
Gavin Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta announced today the state will file a lawsuit as Republicans in the U.S. Senate target California's clean vehicle program, a move that will make Americans smoggy again. They're saying the Republicans that control the Senate is illegal using the Congressional Review Act, the CRA, to attempt to revoke California's Clean Air Act waiver. We got to end that with that word waiver. California Clean Act waiver. So all the rest of the states in the United States are following federal law. California wants their own waiver to govern the way they want to when it comes to clean air. So it's look guys, we're not going to get smoggy again. I want to start with that. All these vehicles that are getting made today nowadays they're super clean. They're not creating smog. This is not 1977, 1980 cars where all the cars are polluting because they're carbureted vehicles. These are fuel injected, clean catalytic converter, which that word alone, converter, they convert all the smog into literally water. So the catalytic converter converts smog into water. So that's sometimes like when you see out of the tailpipe kind of like dripping of some type of fluid or clear fluid, that's water. That's what the job of the catalytic converter does. Now, Governor Newsom's trying to insinuate that federal law that all the other states are following are polluters. No, federal law is just setting a standard for everybody so everybody can follow one law, and California doesn't have to do their own laws or have their waivers so they can run their state however they want. All California wants is that money grab. Plain and simple, it's a money grab. This smog check stations and California catalytic converters or California parts. See, what a lot of people might not know, for those people that are in other states, there are certain parts, EPA parts, that are gotta be approved by California. So example, catalytic converter from Florida is gonna be the exact same catalytic converter in California, but California wants to put their stamp of approval on there. For that stamp of approval, guess what? That cat costs 2 times more. It's a money grab. So I'll go back to saying this is not 1970, 1980s where all these trucks and these semi-trucks are polluting and there's a bunch of black smoke coming out of their exhaust. No, it's not like that no more. What was it? Like for every 20 trucks in 1980s, it equals one of our trucks nowadays. I forgot what the true number is, but it's something ridiculously high. Now, I get the waiver back in the 80s. I do understand that all the airports and the seaports were fully polluted. LA had a big stench, and you can just drive into LA and you can see a whole it looked like fog, but it was smog. But those days are gone, and it's not like we're getting rid of smog and everybody can do whatever they want. It's what we're doing is going by federal law. Now we're setting a standard for everybody. Since the Clean Air Act was adopted in 1970, the USA EPA has granted California more than 100 waivers. So meanwhile, while all these other states are following federal laws, because it's not like Texas and Florida and New York can do whatever they want, they're still following federal law. Federal law says, hey, we got to make these vehicles to these standards so we don't create pollution. But California, for some reason, has found a way to have 100 different waivers. They're not the same waiver. They're just all kinds of different waivers on way that they can govern their own state, basically, and do it how they want to do it. I'll give you an example. And this is not even smog related. You guys are familiar with the Jay Leno law that is coming down the road too, where he wants to make everything 30 years and older smog exempt or a classic car. That's how it used to be. So right now, a 1990s Honda Civic could be considered a classic car and be smog exempt. That's how it used to be. But years ago, they said, hey, we're not going to go by the 30-year rule. We're California, and we're going to do a little bit different, and we're going to say it's 1975. And all the other states can do whatever they want, but we want our own exemption, and we're going to say it's 1975. And meanwhile, during that process that they're saying, hey, we're going to stop at this level, they're making it harder and harder and harder for vehicles to pass smog. And I'm talking about the emissions levels and points. So if the standard was this high, they're bringing it down low, that naturally cars from 90s, 95s, 2000s it's running perfectly, but they're not passing emissions because they're bringing the standards lower. A 1995 vehicle is not going to be the same as 2024. 2024 vehicles have zero pollution coming out. A 90s car has some minimal, but that's how they made that's how it was made in 1990. The technology wasn't as good as it is now, where everything's zero at emissions. And you can go to the website too, gov.ca.gov. This is where I'm getting it from. They're saying, let me read this. If upheld, the Republicans' rollback of these three regulations against the rulings of the Senate, parliamentary, and GAO would cost California taxpayers an estimated $45 billion in healthcare costs. Now, how does smog have to do with healthcare costs? Are they saying we're going to get more sick now? Because again, this is not 1970. And then if you read also, they're saying that it's going to cost you more. If you use a federal vehicle from Ohio, it's going to cost you more in gas. It doesn't make sense. Zero emissions vehicles are often less expensive than their gas counterparts due to avoiding the need to pay for gasoline at the pump and smaller costs associated with maintenance and repairs over the years. So they're saying it's going to cost less, zero emissions. I'm assuming they're saying full electric cars. So do you guys know the statistics to hybrid vehicles? I think when the first gen Prius was introduced to us buyers here, the statistics were crazy. Whenever somebody bought a Prius, which a hybrid, it has both the engine and a battery operated, they didn't buy again. They generally would go buy a regular gas vehicle. Now I wonder what the statistics going to be with full electric vehicle. What's going to happen with the first generation, in the sense the first people who bought them. I remember when Priuses were around, only the rich people had them. You had the Ferraris, Rolls Royce, and then they had the Prius, because all the people who were successful, they wanted to tell all their friends, hey, I own the Prius. And I remember we went to school to learn how to fix those cars and rebuild batteries and all kinds of stuff. And when we came back from school, I was so excited, like, oh man, we're going to get into this industry. It was quiet for about 5 years. Why? Because the people who own the vehicles were going straight to the dealership. And that's usually assigned with people who are successful, and people who don't deal with mom and pop shops or aftermarket shops. They go straight to the dealer. They just drop it off. They jump back into their Ferrari and they're gone. So those people didn't rebuy. And what started happening is you had your second buyers. So the people that were buying the first generation used Priuses or hybrid vehicles. So those people were buying them off the first generation, or the first people to buy them, and they were getting used Priuses. And then around 150, 180,000 miles, they started having issues with the car, whether it's water pumps, hybrid batteries. And that's when they realized they got stuck with expensive repairs or unexpected repairs. So I remember reading up on this, and the statistics were really high that usually people who bought the hybrid batteries didn't rebuy a hybrid vehicle. They ended up going back to gasoline. So what's going to happen with full HV? We don't have enough time yet, but what's going to happen with the first generation Teslas? Are they going to rebuy? I know there's a lot of complaints and people who have issues and charging, and the first generation Teslas, they didn't give you that many mileage. You can go too far with it. And the newer ones nowadays, they go super far, which is cool. I'm not knocking Tesla or anything like that, or the electric cars. The advancement of technology is super great. But let's go back to it's just a handful of people that are buying electric cars. They're everywhere, but the percentages aren't outweighing the gas cars yet. So back to the topic that California or Newsom is making this statement, make California smoggy again. I don't believe that at all. If you guys aren't aware, during this whole process, they're trying to switch smog stations, or talking about it in the background. And if they can't get you on smogs, they want to get you on brakes. They want to make sure that you have CARB approved brakes. That means that you would have to go to a smog station, and I don't know what they would rename it, but a station to make sure that you have safety parts on your vehicle that's approved by California. So now that rotor that used to be $100, $150 is going to be like $200-$300, just to have a CARB approved part by California. And I know they retracted that, and there's all kinds of stuff. They're trying to figure out how they can produce more money, you know. I want you guys to let me know in the comments. I mean, what do you think? Do you think we're going to go back to the shitty 70s and 80s smog polluted Los Angeles and Inland Empire? Inland Empire, that place was horrible, and that's because all the smog would float from LA down to the Inland Empire. That place was horrible back in the day, and you still see it, but that's not all car related. That's factories and other stuff that's going on. And I like the title. It says, Governor Newsom responds to illegal Senate vote aimed to undo state clean air policy. How is it illegal? I mean, if it's a vote and if it's going to some board who has control of this and you have a waiver, all they're doing is taking away your waiver, because all these other states, these 50 states, are following the federal law. That's the law, but you decided to have, buy into this waiver. Whose pocket were you lining? Why do you need a waiver for smog? Okay, if you guys go to lung.org, pretty cool. I'm gonna use there's a tier here that says by year-round particle pollution, and it's gonna be number 1 Bakersfield, number 2 Visalia, number 3 Fresno, number 4 Springfield, Oregon, and number 5 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Number 6 Detroit. I guess there's a competition between Detroit and San Jose. So the specific issue is in Long Beach, Los Angeles. So what's going on over there? I don't think it's just cars. I mean, that's a whole port there of ships coming in. I mean, what are they doing down there? Maybe regulate some things down there, or handle the pollution problem that's specifically there versus, trying to regulate the whole state of California over one city that has issues. And then there's another one right here. It's on the same thing, lung.org, and this is by Ozone in Los Angeles. Long Beach is number 1 on there. Number 2 Visalia, number 3 Bakersfield. And Visalia is like on all these lists here. I thought Visalia was like vegetables and fruits community and trees and all that stuff. So I wonder what's going on there, where they have that much, where Visalia is competing with Long Beach right there. So let me know if I got something wrong here. Like, are we gonna go backwards if California gets shut down on their waivers, which they can't regulate all our cars anymore, or demand smog checks every couple years? Are we going to be choking on pollution? What do you think? What do you think? I mean, the truth. I would love not to have to pay, smog every 2 years. I wonder what's going to happen to our registration. I mean, if they don't need smog, they don't need DMV, they don't need certain areas in the DMV to regulate the smogs and registrations, would that mean that our registration drop? It should. I mean, they're gonna need less employees to manage, less of a building, less overhead. Shouldn't our registration drop? I mean, what is it in Florida? It's like $40 to register your car for every 2 years. Meanwhile, as you pick up a car for 2025, a brand new car, your registration's $800 for the first year. They'll knock it another $50 off for the year after. I like the comments out there. A lot of people are like, it's a scam. It's a scam. Yeah, well, it's lining somebody's pocket. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. Tax, registration fees. We all owns what, an average of 2 cars per household minimum, times that by the population of California. Where's all that money going? Do they have like air cleaners in Long Beach where they're filtering out all the smog that are rise high? Where's all that money going? It ain't going to fix the pollution. It ain't going to fix our streets, that's for sure. Potholes everywhere, cracks everywhere. Just here on the 78, you guys remember what was it, a few years ago, where the whole freeway just collapsed because there was running water underneath there? Isn't that for our registration fees? Should be fixing all that stuff? Well, obviously at the end of the day they did fix it, but it was not maintenance. The freeway literally broke in half. Should have been caught. Pretty simple. Now, as for older cars, I talked about this before. We have a 1970s car, 1950s, 1930s Model A. Yeah, they're huge polluters, but people aren't driving them every day. They're not sitting there and going to work every single day, jumping on the freeway and trying to put 1,000 miles every 2 weeks on that vehicle. It's a weekend car, and if that a weekend car, it's most likely hey, it's Sunday, let me take you for breakfast. Let me take my wife. They drive 2-3 miles, go get breakfast, come back, and or go to a car show on a Saturday, and at the car show they drive it there, park it there for 6 hours, and then leave and go back home, and they parked it again, and then in a couple weeks, maybe even a month later, they get into it for a little bit of time. So it's not like all these old cars are affecting the bottom line, which is air air and pollution. Now, I don't want to knock Newsom for implementing stuff to help our health, and I believe that was really well needed back in the day. It was a great solution, but we're on a different page now. I think the state has depended on our money and the registration money and the tax dollars that are coming in for all that stuff. The regulations, I think they've used it for so many years that now they really need it for whatever they're using it for, which is other areas, and it's not the automotive industry, that's for sure. My belief it's time to get rid of all these waivers. Let us live life like a Texan, Floridian, Idahoan, I don't even know how to say that, Washingtonian, New Yorkinian. I'm just messing with you guys, but let us be California. Let us live like all the other 50 states in peace and happiness. Guys, tell me what you guys think. My name is Victor from Centric Auto Repair, and leave some comments, like, and subscribe.